So what up, everybody? You already know Sly K Loco with another episode of CannaConvos with the great Mr. Grow It on here. Bow, 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 bow. this
Hey,
is
what's going
his.
on?
This is your third time being on. I
Third
think so.
time's a charm.
Man, that's it. We're gonna have to put a stamp on you. You are certified. Sir, a
I appreciate
certified.
you having me on again, dude. The first one was awesome. The second one was even better. Back for a third one, man. This is cool, man. It's always cool linking up with you and just talking shop, man. Seeing what you've been up to, kind of talking about what I've been up to, and yeah.
Yeah, man, it's very fun. I love having you on. You're so knowledgeable. You just like. And we'll talk about that more when I get in there because I got a good question for you. But how's your day going?
Pretty good, man. We got done filming From the Stash live stream. We do an uncensored live stream on YouTube on a bi-weekly basis, so every other week. And I've just finished that off. And man, it went so good. It just the amount of people there that tune in each week, it's awesome to see. A lot of reoccurring people as well, and just hanging out with them, talking everything cannabis and smoking, and it's always a good time.
Yeah, man, I tapped in for a second. I'm one of those people who will just pop in and show my support real quick, and then I gotta go do the other shit. But when I did pop in, you guys were damn, man. There was like I think 130 people or something live right then, or
That's
something. I
wild.
can't remember, but it was like the comments were just going.
Yeah.
I
Yeah, I
was
think
like,
we reached 300 today, over 300 today. So it was actually a pretty good day.
good, man, good. If I missed it, I'm sorry. I was busy getting this going.
All good, man.
Yeah, so one of my first questions there for everybody out there who don't know, this is Mr. Grow It. If you don't know about Mr. Grow It, you need to stop this episode right now. Go watch the other ones and come back to this one, all right? He has been killing it in the industry, one of the pillars of the cannabis community. Definitely, when I say that, I mean it, man. You are one of the pillars of the cannabis community and just helping spread the word.
I
Um,
appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, I'm just a content creator, man, doing my thing. Started in 2015, content creation wise. Been growing cannabis since 2010, and yeah, since 2015, just kind of going hard and just trying to put out content for both beginners, intermediate, and sometimes advanced folks. And yeah, it's been so much fun ever since the past 9 years now. It's wild to say that.
Damn, it goes by quick when you're having fun, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So my first question of the day, we already know how you got your name. We already know all that. I just wanted to ask you about the AC Infinity show that you guys are doing. What kind of prizes? I heard there was prizes that you guys were giving away to them.
Yeah, they did giveaway at the end. It was I think we did three 2x2 complete grow kits that they have. Big
Ooh.
shout out to AC Infinity, and they also had store credit, $150 store credit, and so we had three winners. And then the store credit was like you comment after the fact in the description section on the comment section,
Okay.
and then they have a chance to win. So you have a chance to win if you're watching the replay. Is kind of what I'm trying to get at here. And yeah, it's really cool that they're able to give away so much stuff to the community. I mean, AC Infinity, I've been with them for several years now. They're a sponsor of mine, and they take care of me. And they have some of the best products on the market, is what I could say. So I run just about all their equipment, at least in my grow space. So it's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like AC Infinity is the standard. Well, not the standard, but I would say like the tiers. There's Hydro Store, there's Vivo Sun, and then AC Infinity, man, is up here, and they always have been. Huge shout out to AC Infinity. I've been wanting to try to get on you guys too, but I have the AC Infinity 4x4 tent, or I think it's 5x5 actually. With the fans, the controller, the app, being able to use it from the app is just like so sick. I think they were one of the first ones to do that too, but now everybody's doing them.
Yeah.
Um, Yeah, that's so cool that they're giving out like tents, like 2x2 tents to get people started, man. Hell yeah. That's the best way to do it. People are going to tap in for the giveaway. And if you're giving them a complete set, I mean, shit, man, there's nothing better than that, I think. That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Even if it's for a small space, you know what I mean? Like they were giving it the 2x2, so 2 feet by 4 feet grow tent. And then it came with the light and the ventilation, all that stuff. But if you're in a small space, like some people are in apartments,
Yeah.
so growing in an apartment, you're kind of limited in space, depending, instead of being in a home, for example. I mean, I guess it depends on what size the the home is versus the apartment size. Some people have crazy apartment sizes, but for
Yeah.
the most part, you got to assume most people are kind of limited on space if you're in an apartment or a condo potentially. So
Yeah, some people who start out in apartments, or if they're in a small apartment, they usually do it in in their closet. And so,
closet.
that would be, if you guys had to, that would be a good one to do, would be in your closet with the 2x4 tent or whatever, because then you could be able to hide it there, which, we'll be changing that. That's going to be changing pretty soon. I have a feeling about that, man, that, we're not going to be so prosecuted on growing this fucking beautiful plant, right?
Man, I wish they would just open it up to everybody. I wish it was like free for all. Anybody can grow if you want.
I think,
I don't think we're gonna get there, but for the feds to say that, I doubt it. But
yeah,
but it would be
yeah.
nice.
I'm pretty sure it would be a fucking frenzy. There would just be like just everybody growing, just grabbing tents off the off the shelves. One of these days, though, hopefully, I think like if they did it gradually, then it'd be better with everybody. They'd be able to catch up on their side to stop, breaking down doors, and on our side, we wouldn't be so, because once something like this that's been held from us to where we're not able to do, once you're able to do it, you go crazy, right?
Yeah.
And I know I did. I went crazy with growing. I just started growing everywhere and trying to get everybody I knew to grow, anybody who had
Mhm.
the passion. But yeah, yeah, it's gonna be a crazy day. How did the AC Infinity show come about?
Well, we all are kind of sponsored by them. So it's me,
Yeah.
Rob from Pittman's Lifestyle TV, Pigeons 420. We had the show From the Stash. It's been going for since 2020. So actually 3.5 years now, coming up on 4 years. October will be 4 years. And then just they have AC Infinity has other shows on their platform, right? So they have the AC Infinity After Dark show with
Okay.
Dakota from Homegrow TV, Hi Again, Grower Joe. That's been running strong for over a year now. They do one a month. They also have Troy Northern Scrogger is on there. He has a show called Scrog School, and so
Okay.
they're looking to expand more shows onto their platform, right? So good publicity for them, good publicity for us. So we were kind of in talks with them, in regards to it, and it's like, hey, think it would be a good fit. And then but we have like an outline that we have, and we've got kind of the next 12 episodes that were kind of somewhat outlined. We'll be reworking them, but it's really going to take the grower from the beginning to the end. So this last episode that we just recorded was about a grow equipment setup, kind of
Okay.
like a tent, fan, lighting, all that stuff. And then also Pigeons did a little challenge there. I don't know if you caught that one or not, but he had 5 minutes. We clocked him in at 5 minutes, put a timer on there, and he had 5 minutes to figure out what the best grow tent setup would be. And so he was browsing on the internet, and he'd pick it out from the AC Infinity site, and he came up with a pretty good setup that was under $500. And
Nice.
so yeah, it was. I think it was a good first overall episode. Lots of positive feedback in the comments section. It's super different from their other shows, Scrog School and their After Dark show. So from the stash, we were in kind of just something a little bit different there. It's called highly educational, and
Nice.
so it was fun. Yeah, it was really fun. And next time is going to be talking about the soil or medium and nutrients, and then we're going to get into veg and flower and harvest and all that stuff. So it's going to be cool. It's going to be really, really cool.
So the new growers who are out there, they could actually start to kind of grow along with you guys, right? Every week you're going to be doing the new thing, right? So once the 1 week they get their tent started, the next week they can get their soil going with their seeds, and by then your guys will be growing along with them. Basically, you could be showing them the LST and whatever else to do, right?
Exactly. Yeah, we're all planting seeds and kind of growing along while this series goes along too. So that's another different thing that's going to be fun
And
for sure.
are you going to be showing plants on this one?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so all right, so the AC Infinity are going to do the plants, because I know how YouTube doesn't really like us to be showing the plant yet, um, which should be changing, man. I think that should change too. I mean, they're starting to take stances on more harder stuff. I think guns or something like that.
I don't think they're going to change it, man, to be honest with you, because of you got to think of tobacco. right? So
Yeah.
there are tobacco channels out there. All those are age restricted, but tobacco is legal, right?
Really?
Drinking like beers or liquors or whatever. There are channels dedicated to that. Wines, all those are age restricted, right? So why would they? You know, I just feel like it's always going to be suppressed and age restricted and suppressed.
Okay. Well, that just means that more of us out there, for everybody watching, you have to go onto the pages. You have to like it, subscribe if you want, but actually commenting, going down on the bottom and just commenting and putting anything like I do. I'll just put some claps or some hundreds or something. It really goes a lot towards the algorithm, man, to get these out to where they really won't show it to everybody, but like I think it is when you hit on if you're watching the cannabis content, doesn't it still pop up with more cannabis content or no?
Yeah, if there's enough engagement on that video, like the liking, commenting, subscribing, sharing is a big thing that actually take into consideration too. When you press that share button on that video, that's a big thing. Then it'll start to show up a little bit more and more in people's recommended feeds. So
Okay.
when you're on YouTube homepage, for example, it is a higher chance of it popping up, especially if you've been on that channel before. Like I watched whenever I watch somebody's video for the first time, like a new channel that I'm familiar with and I like it, I press the like button, obviously. And I go back to my homepage, and then their videos kind of show up sporadically within the
Okay.
homepage. So it definitely helps kind of give more visibility to the channel overall, not just to the person liking and commenting, but it also does push it out to the algorithm, from my understanding, and it will end up on more people's homepages as well.
Nice. Okay, so everybody out there, don't forget to comment, man. At least comment, like, and this it really does go a long ways. It does, and we at the right now we're at the moment we're at the mercy of the algorithm, so we gotta do what we gotta do. Shit,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So, do you ever get overwhelmed with how many shows you have?
It's funny you ask that, because this week in particular, I have just been like, there's not enough time in the day. There's
Yeah,
not enough time in the day. And I'm not talking just the number of shows, because the number of shows is kind of manageable, but just the amount of work beyond the shows, right? Or
yeah,
the editing that has to be done with the videos on my main channel, the podcast that I have from the stash. Now we get a live stream for
the
from the
growth,
stash and uncensored one. Then we've got the
garden
AC
talk,
Infinity new
right?
show. Yeah, we get a whole bunch of them, and it can be overwhelming and very let's say frustrating, because that's not really the right word for it, but overwhelming I think is the right word for it, and just kind of annoying that I don't have enough, that I'm running out of time a lot, because I have a daughter now. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
I was about to ask you
eight
about
months
that because
ago.
you got family and everything now, so it's a little bit more. It's you're busier. You just got more things that are a little bit important. More important to your family, which is the most important thing. So
Yeah. I'm no longer a single dude working 12, 15-hour days. You know what I mean? Just grinding away, drinking, smoking, whatever. I can't do that anymore. So now my work time is narrowed down significantly to like 8 hours a day max. Well, actually, sometimes I'm able to squeeze in a few extra hours, but like I used to work a lot more, and being able to shift from work to the family, right? 8-month-old daughter. So like I obviously want to be there for her. I love watching her develop. It's incredible. All Most of it, her care falls on my fiance's shoulder right now, which is great, but I'd like to be there a little bit more. So I need to balance out the work and the family, right? So it's definitely challenging, overwhelming. Yeah, it's a good word to put it. But you just gotta keep going, just gotta keep going, because this is what I want to do. I love
yeah,
it. So.
yeah, man. So your hard work will pay off. For those like times like nobody really thinks about like changing diapers or feeding your kid or doing all these other little small things that are like that wouldn't be bonding, but it is. You need to be there for your kids so that they get used to you feeding them, talking to them during something. You just got to be there for your kids. It turns out to mean a lot to them. So you
Do you have
know,
kids?
yes, I have two of them. And they're all grown and they've been I was a big alcoholic then, so I put them through a lot of shit. And so now I had to straight go up to them and straight up tell my kids I'm sorry for everything that I did. And if I could, I would go back in time and I would change all the stuff that I did. All the yelling, all the because I was a drunk alcoholic. I was one of those parents. So, my kids had to grow up like that. And now I look back at it really, regretfully that I did
Uh,
that. But nowadays I'm able to apologize and I'm able to grow with them. So now it really did help because even their mental health and the way that they've been acting now that I apologize has changed a lot. Our dynamic is just different. Now we talk, they want to watch movies with me. Like,
nice.
it's just changed so much since I sat there and like realized like, oh man, I messed them up. Oh man, I did a
Uh,
bad job. But you know, you can always fix it later.
I'm
Like I said,
glad to hear things are better.
yeah, it's a lot better, man. A lot better. Ever since I got sober, everything has changed. Just man. And so I've been trying to like, because I see a lot of patterns out there with people, the patterns of the alcoholism and what triggers them and gets them drinking, and then drinking just keeps you down, man, and it does not help. And so nowadays I try to help people as much as I can with that. A
Yeah.
lot of people aren't
I've
aren't there
I've
yet.
battled it a little bit myself. Probably, some people laugh when I say like I have a problem or had a problem. They're like, "Oh, you? No, come on, get out of there." But like when you're taking shots all day long and that's how you're doing your work day, you know what I mean? That's
Open?
that's a problem. And that was me, you know what I mean? I was freaking working in the morning and it wouldn't be first thing in the morning where I would drink, but early afternoon I would drink and I would just take shots and then continue to work and then I'd go smoke joints with a friend and continue to drink and that was every single day. And I felt like I was able to stop and do it, right? But I still drink occasionally. But like that part of my life, I felt like I had a problem.
Yeah.
Now, it didn't negatively really affect my work or my family or anything like that. But man, it's not good, right? Can't be
No, it
good.
isn't. It is not good, and the one thing is that, like, I praise you for being able to see the pattern that was coming and stopping it in time before it got to where I got, because I was just a functioning alcoholic. I could not get up in the morning without uh, a 211, which is the malt liquor. They're
Wow.
8%. It's like these things. The alcohol is so disgusting too. It's like the worst, but you're just looking for the feeling. And so now that I look back at it, I'm like, I can't believe I drank that shit. Oh my
Is it
god.
like an old English?
Yes, worse than an old
Oh,
English. Yes. It's worse than an old English, but
oh
yes,
man.
it's a malt liquor. And I would be drinking vodka all the time, and I'd have like a half gallon of vodka that I could drink to myself. And so
Wow.
100 proof, mind you, 100 proof too.
Oof.
So yeah, I was, and I would like still be um present enough to know that, oh, okay, I need to leave this much for tomorrow so that I can still get a buzz in the morning. Like,
Wow.
yeah, I was really, really bad, guys. That's why I absolutely hate alcohol. I hate it to the fullest because that is the gateway drug. The alcohol is the gateway drug. It's not fucking marijuana or cannabis. Like, no. Uh,
No.
People get drunk and they do stupid things a lot. But anyways, I forgot where I was going with that.
I think
Yeah.
genetics comes down to it too. Like some people are
Yeah.
just predisposed to be addicted to things, more likely to be addicted to things than not be addicted. And I know I don't really know the science myself. I've just read things here and there. I'm sure they're still uncovering things, but genetics does play a role in how you can get addicted to things.
Oh yeah, I thought about that all the time. I'm like, well, because once you step back from it and you get sober, you can look at things and because I never went to AA or anything like that. I did pure will, but I did like when I was getting into trouble and stuff. They made me go to UA classes, and so it wouldn't work because I wasn't ready for it. So when you're not ready for it, you're not gonna get clean. But some of that stuff did stick in my head. So when I sobered up, I looked at everything as the patterns, the where I came from, all this. Well, my mom and dad was alcoholics. My whole family's alcoholics. Everyone around me is alcoholics. Like, and we all didn't know that we're really that much dysfunction around because you grow up with the things, you get used to it. You always got that. Which I was that crazy cousin that went and got into jail and was gangbanging and fighting all the time. And, oh, you can't take him nowhere because then he's gonna start something. That was me. Um, and now I look back at it and I'm like, oh, okay. Now I see. All right, there's that's why I started drinking. This is what happened. You know, and it's just a big cycle. I feel like it's a cycle that we all could break if you just step away for a second and actually get a look at it. Like, oh shit, okay, maybe that's why I was drinking because I was depressed. Oh, I was drinking because I got angry. Oh, I didn't get this job, so getting turned down from a job always made me feel like I was lesser. So then I would go and drink. And it's just recycling thing that happens so much. But
So
anyway,
has cannabis helped with that?
oh yes, cannabis has helped very much. Cannabis was the one thing that, like, when I would want a drink, I would go smoke a joint or take a
Mhm.
couple hits, and then I would not care about alcohol anymore. That thought of, oh, I need to get a drink was gone. As soon as you smoke a hit, take a hit, you're like, wait, what was I thinking about? Like, and so you start to feel better, and then you don't care as much. You don't have so much anxiety either. Some strains. Lately, I have been getting anxiety, so I stick with some sativas. Actually, I changed up from indica to sativa.
Wow.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. My anxiety I've been dealing with lately a lot too, but it's just so much better now. I'll never go
Good,
back to that. Never go back to that.
good to
Now,
hear.
are we gonna see any more books in your future?
Uh, I'm not working on anything right now. No,
Okay.
I still got the two that I have. I've got the 7 Steps to Grow Cannabis. This is the first one I wrote back in 2016 was when the
Wow.
first version came out. It was revised and then revised again. The third edition, the latest one right here. This one is was released in 2020. So
So
a little bit ahead, actually.
what happens in a revisal? Like, you just take
I
some stuff out?
updated so much to it, man. The first version is just, oh my gosh, I don't even want to think about the first version. I added so much to each of the sections. The layout was disgusting back then. Like, I actually hired a professional to do the book designing on the inside. The
Okay.
covers changed, so like it's gotten better, not just from a cover and design standpoint, but also the information. So rereading through the whole book and changing up sections, because let's be real, things change, right? We
Yeah.
find out more information about things. One thing about this book in particular is the flushing section is here a little bit outdated now. To be
Okay.
honest with you, not people are kind of going against flushing now at the end of the growth cycle. So I'm talking about when growing synthetic nutrients. It still kind of mentions that in there that is a practice that people do. Um, so things get outdated. So that's why I figured would do revisions. And yeah, that one's on the third revision.
So I would say that, like, would you say that, like, flushing isn't as important as it used to be, as because when I first started growing, it was a big thing. Like, you need to flush out these nutrients before you harvest. Like, make sure you do that. But now that time's gone on, we're actually finding out that you don't really have to flush, but some people do. Like in organics, you don't have to flush, right?
Yeah, I started growing in 2010 and I was flushing all the way up till about 2017, 2018. Then you started hearing about people being like, no, you don't have to do this. I was like, wait a minute, I don't? Okay, let me try it then. Let me
Yeah.
try not flushing at the end of the growth cycle. Now, you hear about Dr. Bruce Bugby, for example, who has been very vocal about flushing towards the end of the grow, saying that it's really not needed unless you've over fertilized. And I think that's where the confusion kind of came to begin. Really, was a lot of folks back in the 90s, the early 2000s. You're pumping the nutrients in the plant. And so they're really trying to up the EC and feed the plant as much nutrients as possible. That was just what a lot of people did back then.
Yeah.
They want to get better growth, healthy plants, better growth, more cannabinoids. So the thought was add more nutrients, right? So you'd get all the way into flower, and towards the end of flower, and your leaves would be super dark green. A lot would be nitrogen toxicity, believe it or not. Like people didn't even know about that back then. So flushing before harvesting was a way to kind of get nutrients out of the plant. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's like get it and help that if you've over fertilized. Now, if you fed normally, as you should, according to a lot of nutrient regimen, like the nutrient charts that these companies put out,
You would cut back at the end, right?
some cut back at the end. Yeah. Anyways. But as far as like a full flush, like there's so many definitions, right? Some people are like, oh, flushing is when you've run 3 gallons of medium or double the amount of water through the medium as the size of the grow pod. Some people say no, flushing is just not feeding nutrients for the last 2 weeks of the grow. You know what I mean? So what definition are you going off of on that one?
Yeah, I
Makes
thought it
things
was both of
confusing.
them.
It makes things confusing. Yeah, right. And then not feeding nutrients. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. Huh.
So, anyways, yeah, I think these days a lot of people are just kind of backing off the nutrients, not flushing, kind of feeding up till the end, and subjectively, a lot of people saying there's no difference. Testing, a lot of folks are finding no difference in the
Hmm.
cannabinoids and the yield, terpene profile, all that stuff. They're not really seeing much of a difference there, and
Yeah, I
so,
was I
and
was
then
watching one thing where somebody was saying to actually even add a little bit more nutrients at the end of the week. Um, that if you were trying to get rid of the chlorophyll, or oh, it wasn't chlorophyll. Oh, the salt buildup, something like
oh
that.
yeah,
Mhm.
there's flushing products out there. I think
Yeah.
Spike Scammer is one of them, and yeah, there's a few different products out there that are particularly for the end of the grow, which have like enzymes and stuff that are gonna help it break down. And yeah, so I never really even used all that stuff, to be honest with you. I just did the old school method of just cutting off nutrients and flushing the plant with running water through the medium, and then harvesting from there. And I always got a pretty good result. And to be honest with you, even when I don't flush, I get a pretty good result as well.
Hmm.
It's hard to really say, oh, I get better flavor from flush buds or better flavor from unflushed buds. It's so subjective. And I personally don't have access to testing, so I can't go out there and do that. But like I said, all these people that are doing testing aren't really seeing much of a difference between flushed and unflushed, unless you're flushing for I think longer than 14 days. Then it's detrimental to the plant, and detrimental to your yield, cannabinoids, all that stuff. So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, I figured that would yeah, that would happen. Like if you did it for longer than 2 weeks, if you went 3 or 4 weeks, yeah, the plant would either because that whole time that you're flushing, you're ready to cut down the plant. You're like, okay, I'm gonna cut down the plant here in 2 weeks, so I'm gonna start flushing, right? And then
Yeah.
that time of the 2 weeks, the plant is still plumping up, the trichomes are still developing, and every once in a while you'll get to that 2 weeks and your plant still isn't ready. And so then you're like, shit,
Shit.
man. I just cut out all these nutrients. Now what do I
Uh,
do? If I add more nutrients, then I'm gonna have to flush again. And
yeah.
all you
I
growers
hear
out
you.
there, you guys know how much of a headache it is when you got to be like, you don't know what to do. But that's pretty cool because back in the day, which is only a couple years ago, everybody was saying that the white ash, if it burned right, then that mean that your cure was right, or I'm sorry, your flush was right with your good cure. Um, but I guess that's not turning out to be the situation as it would come. But now the cure is very important, which some people don't even cure. Do you cure?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it depends on what you mean by cure. I mean, really, guys, we've learned so much when it comes to drying and curing just in the past 5 years. There are active scientists studying those things. So, like, what do you consider cure? A lot of people consider drying to be that period of time to where between harvesting the plant and then bringing down the water activity to zero point 0.6. And so that period of time, and once you bring your water activity down to zero point 0.6, then microbial development is limited, stopped apparently. So that's when you're not apparently shouldn't see any mold happening and stuff like that because the water activity is too low within the buds for the microbes to function. Really, it's talking about in simple terms, right? So they consider that drying and then curing. What is curing really? Is it from the end of dry? You're stable at the zero point 0.6 water activity. How long does curing kind of last for? Right? They say that this chemical profile does change over time. You have things that are off gassing, for example, volatilizing. The terpenes are volatilizing. A lot of terpenes are volatilizing. The studies that are coming on that is just crazy. People identifying new cannabinoids and new terpenes through those studies. Um,
That are
but yeah, the
volatile?
profile is changing that as you continue to keep it shelf stable. They call it shelf stable as the zero point 0.6 water activity, which is about 60% RH in a storage container. 60% RH, you're at a zero point 0.6 water activity. Once you're at that shelf stable, yeah, I guess that's the curing stage, right? And then what does curing last to until you're consuming it?
Yeah.
What if you're not consuming it until 2 years? Has it been curing for that 2 year period? So Yeah, I think we still got to figure out how long curing actually lasts until there's no other activity happening. We know CO2 off gases, ethylene, they're measuring that during the first several weeks of the curing phase. I've been using the Canatrol. I think we might have talked about that in a previous episode.
I think we did,
Um,
yeah.
so
How is that
that's
working for you? You still loving it?
it's awesome, man. It's like super keeps everything super stable, right? And so like my dry to cure, that transition is seamless. You know what I mean? I just keep it in there. I'm not actually I don't have it in jars to where I have to take out the jars and burp the jars like traditional curing that you'd see. I used to do that all the time. And I
Yeah.
still believe in that. Still believe in burping and off gassing and all that stuff. Um, but yeah, the Cantrol has been pretty solid. I actually just got another one. I need to unbox it.
Nice. Are you gonna make a video on that?
I should, yeah. I
What's you
got the
better?
Mr. Grow It logo on the actual front of the Canatrol. They put logos on there now, which is pretty
Nice.
cool. Yeah,
Bro, you gotta do it, man. You gotta make that
yeah,
video, man. I know it's gonna be more work for you, but with that one, that's gonna be pimp. You gotta get the shot of it like just
yeah.
grow it. Damn. That's gonna
People
be nice.
hate that device though, man. People hate it.
Really?
I think it's because of the price. You know,
Yeah,
the
because
price
that's
is
what I was
just
just about to say. It has to be the price. As soon as
yeah,
somebody sees something a little bit too expensive, they're like, nah, never mind, it sucks. It's like, whoa, bro, it's probably that much money for a reason because it works, right? Good shit ain't cheap, and cheap shit ain't good. So, like, once the technology gets around too, and it starts getting, the rounds start to happen. If there's a patent on it, when the patent expires, or whatever, whoopity whoop, whatever it is, then the price will start to go down when more people are making them. But right now they got it. So, what has people been saying? Are they just mad about the price?
price is the biggest thing. Price is the biggest thing. $1,600 for this thing, and it's the size of a mini fridge, right? So like you could really only fit like depending on how big the plant is, right? You can fit like a plant, maybe two small plants in there. Now, what I've been doing is scattering my harvests a little bit. So I will harvest a plant today, for example. I'll put it in there. 2 days later, the buds have kind of shrunk in there, right? So I'm able to take branches and consolidate up to different shelves. Then I'm able to take the harvest second plant and put it in there. Now, generally, it's advised not to do that. I've been doing that. And it's been perfectly fine for me. No mold issues. That's the biggest concern is mold issues. But yeah, it's very people complain about the space, how it's so small, the price, and some people complain about the terpenes. If they feel like there's a loss happening in the terpenes, it's just because when you take it out of there, it takes a little bit in order for kind of the smell to really. If you break it up into a grinder, oh yeah, it's amazing, right?
Yeah,
But the initial nose out of the canistrol is kind of not there, I'd say. And testing has been done, and it actually shows a higher terpene content, 16% higher, I think it is, versus your traditional 60/60 method. There was a study on that one, which was pretty interesting. But some people just really subjectively say, hey, there's no nose on this. It ruined all my terps, blah, blah, blah. When really, it's still there. You just got to break it up in a grinder and things stay fresh and stay the perfect moisture level. And so I've have some really good results with it. But yeah, those are the main complaints.
yeah, I could see how that would be a turn off because one of the things that you do, like the smell when you pop open the jar at people and you're like, here, smell it. That's one thing that sells the product. People
Yeah,
are like, people are like, yo, I can smell it. But if you have to break it up to smell it, as I've seen, because that's happened to me too. Sometimes when I'm drying this Oaxacan that I just came out with or that I just harvested from Defiant Seed, it was kind of like that too because I think I dried it too quick. Well, I know I dried it too quick, and I dried it on the rack. So it just didn't have that same thing. Like the smell wasn't there right off the bat, but when you broke it up, then you could smell it, and it was pretty dank right then.
yeah,
But people were like, "Yo, I can't. I'm not smelling it like your usual stuff," and I'm like, "Yes, I know. I was didn't get that harvest. Wasn't the best uh,
yeah.
dry and everything, which happens to all of us. It's fine.
Mm. Oh
It'll be
yeah.
good." But nice, man. Canatrol. Still kicking with it. What's up with the chill out OG? Let's talk about that. Is it F? Is it still in the F's or is it into the S's now?
Still in the F's. Yeah, I might have
Still.
talked about how I do want to eventually fem it. So I want to get fem seeds out of it. So I would reverse a plant, get a nice female that I've pheno hunted, and reverse it, and then pollinate it, and then you've got feminized seeds that come out of it, right? Um, that's I'm still kind of working on that. To be completely honest, and I'm always transparent with everybody, is the first time trying it, it didn't reverse, and apparently that happens, right? So you use colloidal silver, or I used STS, and spray the plant. And every so often, some people do it every 5 days, some people do it every day, and then it should reverse. It should start doing pollen sacs, and it just didn't. It was 3 weeks, and it was just pistol, 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 and no pollen sacs. So I'm like, it didn't work. So I don't know if it's the solution I was using. Or some people say that it's just some phenos or some genetics are harder to reverse than others. So maybe that was the case. I don't know, but yeah, I still got F3 generation is what Chillot OG is on right now.
Nice, nice. So yeah, it could have just been the pheno that didn't want to reverse. I'm not too good. I'm not too into breeding, so I don't know that much about that. But would that be a good thing that it didn't reverse? Like it was resistant
I
to
mean,
it?
not when you want it to reverse.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know when you wanted to, but like as it
Yeah.
was, because then that would mean it's. Would that mean that it's less likely to harm?
Uh, I don't think so, man. I see. I'm not too deep in the breeding knowledge either. I
Yeah,
just
me
have
neither.
one cross, and yeah, I'm not too. I don't. I don't really actively study the breeding side of things, but no, because using a chemical that is causing that to happen. So it's different from the stresses that would happen in an environment that would cause a plant to herm, or just being in the genetics, whether it be a dominant or recessive trait that comes out, right? So I don't think they would kind of relate. I don't think if you're spraying something with Clodio Silver STS and it doesn't reverse, I don't think that means that the rest of the seeds that you have are less likely to harm. I could be wrong on that, but I wouldn't think those would be related.
So for those out there who don't know, which is me too, what is SDS or the stuff that you spray onto it?
Silver thiosulfate is what it's called.
What does it do?
It basically, oh man, see, this is where it's a little bit beyond my knowledge. I'm not the best speaking about
Hey,
breeding.
just the basics.
Basically,
Just the basics. What is
uh,
it?
from
Is
my understanding, it changes the hormones within the plant, and it
okay.
causes it to produce male parts instead of the female parts. So I think that's kind of the basic definition of what that does. And
So it
this
harm.
colloidal silver is another thing that can do it, just like STS does it.
Okay.
Um, And so, yeah, there's a couple different ways to go about reversing a plant, and some people use both. Like I was talking with GT from Welcome to the Grow Tent. Shout out to him. He uses both. He uses both Colloidal Silver and STS just to make sure it's going to reverse for him, because he's been through the same thing before, where it's like you've got this beautiful plant and you're ready to reverse, and you've got all these other plants that you might be waiting to pollinate, right? And you stagger them. Like if you're using STS, you start to your reversal process and then keep your plants, the other plants, I believe, in veg for a couple weeks, 1 to 2 weeks, and then you put them to flower, right? So you're relying on this reversal to happen because you've got other plants in flower that
Okay.
you're looking to pollinate with that.
Okay.
If you're going that route, right? There are so many different things you could do with that pollen, but
Yeah.
if you're going that route, for example, which kind of what happened to me. It's like I had these other plants which were starting to flower now, and I'm waiting for this plant to reverse so I can get that feminized pollen off of it and pollinate these girls, and it just didn't happen. So I'm like, shit, you know.
Well, I mean, the good thing is at least you got a bunch of plants that are going into flower, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
You're
Had some
like
good
shit.
smoke out of it. Yeah.
Well, I got some flower and smoke. Fuck it. I like to look at the brighter side to everything. Um, the McCannabis Luke, right?
Yep.
He's growing out the Chill Out OG and his plants. His tent looks amazing, brother. Damn, dude, he killed that shit. Like,
Oh man, he has been on the come up for I don't know over a year now. I feel like he's been growing the genetics. I think he grew up my F1s, F2s, and F3s. I think he got his hands on all of them, and
damn, he's making him
his
just look
plant is
just
yeah.
beautiful. I was looking at his nugs. I'm like, God damn, dude. And he's scrogging like beautiful. So he's got that sea of green going or sea of buds is what it really is. Shit. Um,
He makes me look really good.
Yeah.
With those two
Yeah,
guys.
if I was you, I'd keep sending him seeds, man, and be like, here,
Yeah.
bro, I got you.
No, but he's the man, though. I like him, dude. He's really cool.
He is, man. He's killing it. No offense, but I think his chill out OG looks a little bit better than yours. But not as, but yeah. Anyways, so has your house turned into a tent, a tent city like mine has? Like I got
It
tents.
kind of has.
Yeah, this one thing that I wanted to say because I saw that you were putting up in your room. You had all those other tents, right? That you were putting
Yep.
up to show you're making content and everything with that. But like that's one thing I wanted to get out there to tell these new growers, man. Be ready to have a whole bunch of tents because Jesus, man, I got 6 tents, not up, but I got 6 tents. I got up, I got four. But yeah, it happens quick, man.
It does. Yeah, I have four as well, and man, it's so much better. Like, I just moved a couple months ago, and so I've got a larger room now, a
Nice.
larger grow room, and I'm able to fit a bigger tent now too as well. I've got a 2x4, a 4x4, a 4x8, and then I've also got a little propagation tent. But the 4x8 is kind of the newest addition, and being able to have more space is just it's great. I mean, I've run 4x8s before in the past, but having all these different tents and being having the flexibility to like move things from veg to flower and
Yeah.
tent to tent, it makes things so much easier and it's more convenient.
And it gives you the option to start a perpetual grow.
True. Yep.
So everybody, if you guys don't know what a perpetual grow is, it's just basically having everything going at once. You got your clones, your veg, your flower, your hanging, you just got everything going. And so you'll be constantly in wheat, which is very nice. But I want to put out there a disclaimer. It's stupid hard and stupid busy. You're gonna be all the time just be dealing with plants. So be ready to make that your life if that's what you're gonna go down. You're gonna go down.
Yeah, it's very time consuming.
It is, man. It's time consuming keeping every tent, and you have to know what you're doing. So it's best is to write it down. Oh, okay, this tent's at week 4 of flower. This tent's at week 4 of veg. Like you got your clones that are going. You got 12 clones, and then you got a tent that's been drying for 6 days. Blah 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 blah, and then you got to check your fans, your filters, your So yeah, be ready for that, and a lot of plugins too.
Yeah.
So let's talk autos. Um, so when you grow an auto, do you put it in your 5 gallon bucket or your 5 gallon pot right away, or do you transfer? Would you say it's wise to transfer at all, or no?
I prefer to keep it in its final container throughout the entire life. I've grown them in 3 gallons. I've grown them in 5 gallons. I've grown them in 7 gallon containers. I prefer to just keep them in there and not do the transplant process. Every time I've grown an auto in a solo cup, for example, or even a 1 gallon container, started out there and done a transplant, I've always done the mycorrhizal fungi, sprinkling onto the roots during the transplant and adding my worm castings in there as well. And it just seems like I'm able to get a better result by not transplanting. Like every single time I didn't transplant, I got a better result. Now, I'm not saying that the transplanting stunted the growth by any means because most likely probably didn't. A lot of people say you should never do it because it's going to stunt the growth and you're going to get a smaller yield.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can fully say that that is true 100% of the time. I could definitely see that happening. I feel like it has happened to me before where I transplanted and stunted the growth. Maybe even just letting it grow a little bit too long in that solo cup. People say once you leave in the container for too long, it's going to initiate the flowering process. I don't know if there's any truth to that or not, but that's a common theory, I guess you could say, right? Common thought people say. But yeah, for the most part, long story short, I do like to just keep it in its final container and grow like that throughout the whole grow.
Are you growing any autos right now?
No, no,
Okay.
not this round. No, I've only really grown about 2 dozen autos, maybe coming up on 3 dozen autos in my entire
Oh, that's
14
a lot.
years.
That's 30 some damn fucking autos. That's a
Well, I've
lot
been
of
growing for
autos. That's
14 years,
Well,
so
yeah, out of 14 years, yeah. I've only grown three,
mm,
4 out of 5 years of growing. I really should pick them up because now it has changed. They're not from what they were back in the day. Like a couple years ago, they had a little how do you say, not as good as photo period, right? But nowadays the terps are there and everything's there, the crossbreedings and everything that's been going on. There's a lot more improvement in them, so I highly suggest everybody to go try them out. One thing I wanted to ask you was, do you think that there's going to be like bigger auto flowers, or can there be bigger auto flowers? Like, because right now the auto flowers stay small because of rurales, right?
They're already becoming big. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're already like massive ones. I mean, geez, I've seen white widows that were autoflowers that were massive. I've seen Gorilla Glue 4. Oh, maybe that wasn't autoflower. I've seen Incredible Bulk, I think is the name of it. Shout out to Grow Weed Cheaply, I think is his name on YouTube. But just massive flowers, and they were autoflowers. I think he got like, I want to say 3 pounds off of a plant, but I could be wrong on that. Maybe it was 1 pound off of a plant. But yeah,
Still
an
off of
autoflower. So yeah,
auto.
there are tons of autos that are producing high yields these days.
Wow. See, I've never heard of that. I've been turned off of autos for a while, so I don't even know about the development or anything that's been going on with them. But that is sick. I wish I could see that plant. Like, be a big ass fucking 1 pound plant and then be like, it's an auto? Ugh, I would have blown my mind, brothers.
The
Damn.
biggest yield I ever got off an auto was 8 ounces. So
Hey,
half of a pound off of one plant, which I thought was pretty good. And it was a Carmelicious by MSNL, and I grew actually I had 10 packs. I grew 10 different seeds, autoflowers. Some of them I did the training. Some of them I let grow naturally. And the one I did low stress training on only, no topping, nothing else, produced 8 ounces. And I was like, wow, this is incredible. The ones that I didn't top, the ones I let grow naturally, Christmas tree style, produced about 5 to 6 ounces. So still
yeah,
pretty freaking
still
good.
very good. Yeah, it's very
And
good.
then I've grown other varieties, that are like 3 ounces, 2 ounces, 4 ounces. So like genetics is pretty big.
Yeah, my experience with growing autos, I usually get about 3 ounces at the max, maybe four. But then again, like I said, it's been years, so I'm probably gonna have to circle back to that and try them out.
Mm.
Um, would you do an auto outdoors?
I would love to. I don't think I can grow outdoors here though. Unfortunately, it's illegal where I
Yeah,
live. So I got to stay within the laws. Yeah, they don't allow anything outdoors here. Plus, where I live, it's in summertime. It's like 110 degrees every
stupid
day.
hot. Yeah, it'll
So
kill that
yeah,
fucking plant, right?
it's.
I
I'm
know
sure there
over
are some
here.
varieties that can withstand it, but yeah, for the most part, things are just getting fried out here. So
Yeah, shit, man. Over here where I'm at on the east side of Washington, it's almost like your guys' like almost. We stay in the hundreds during summertime regularly. So, it's pretty hot. And the plants that I put outside were photoperiod plants. And they
mm,
loved it. They were absolutely, as long as you give them water, they
yeah.
grew just huge. But once it gets to 110, 120, like I'm pretty sure that's when they're like, okay, all right, the sun's burning. How are you doing, or how is your entry doing on the Growers Gauntlet? Or are you entered in that?
I'm one of the people who are like, I don't know, the content creators that have a team. So I
Okay,
don't really have an entry.
okay.
Yeah, we're not allowed to like enter and try to win.
Ah, so you're
So,
just
but yeah,
sponsored or like
so
promoted.
people are under my team. The team grow it is what it's called, and so people grow out one of the three genetics that I picked, and I picked the peyote skittles by seedsman. I picked the gelato 41 back cross by seedsman, and I picked the chilled og. Had to pick out my own.
Had to, man. You got to get it in there.
And so people are growing those ones and just kind of following along that. But yeah, we on the content creator side, so the people who are involved in different teams, we're just promoting it. We can't enter it and win. You know what I mean? So I
Yeah,
am
that wouldn't be
growing. I
fair.
have 40. I have obviously I have a chilled og. I'm just about always growing that. I've also got the gelato 41 back cross growing right now. And I don't have the peyote skittles growing at the moment, but yeah, that's another really good strain.
Nice, and all by Seasman.
Except for the chiller OG.
Yeah, and that one. We all know where that one came from. How has your fungus gnat management been?
A lot better, man. I feel a lot more confident. You know,
Good.
over the years, I mean, geez, it's been up and down over the years, and
Good.
some runs are easier than others. And man, I warped back to I'm trying to think when this was 2 years ago or something. I had a really bad infestation. I made content on it, but being able to let the top of the medium dry out for the most part, and then spraying each
Yeah.
week or every couple of days if you have real bad infestation, right? So neem oil is something that knocks them down. I like the Mammoth Can Control. I really
Okay.
like that stuff. That stuff has worked really well for me. I could use that as a preventative as well sometimes. And then also the Dr. Zymes, the amazing Dr. Zymes. Those three things are just incredible. So those are the main things that I use in order to knock back fungus gnat population. And yeah, mostly just letting that medium dry out. That helps out a lot. And then the yellow stickies just to help get those adult ones, get those to
Yeah.
restock, and hopefully that prevents as many eggs being laid in the soil, right? So yeah, there's so many different ways to go about it. I know a lot of people use BT, which is a type of bacteria. So they use like mosquito bits or
That's
mosquito
what I was gonna
dunks.
ask you. Yeah, mosquito
That's
puck.
what essentially that's what it is. It's
Okay.
attacking in the soil level there. So I've used it sometimes, but for the most part, man, that three spray that I mentioned, that's my go-to.
Beautiful. I've been spraying too, and I have been not seeing as many. I use Growers Alley Crop Defender #3 is what I've been using, and it has neem oil in it. And geez, man, you can smell that neem oil. Jesus,
Right?
I was not ready for the smell, but now I see why the bugs are like, no, like they don't like it, because even I don't like it. But and it has a little bit of peppermint in it, and fuck, I forgot what else, but it really works. That stuff fucking works very well. I haven't had any problems with anything. But I had a problem with spider mites a couple of grows ago, right? And so I've been on top of spraying ever since then because, like, I don't want to open my tent and see my buds covered in spider webs again, man.
Oh
That shit was not cool. Have you had spider mites before?
no, luckily
Oh,
not. Nope.
knock on that
Still
wood,
trying
brother.
to find.
Knock on that wood, because that shit
Yep.
was like, that was very surprising. That was something that I didn't think would ever happen. But I'm very glad that I got to see it because I got to see with my own eyes how that looks and like how they really do just wrap the whole bud in fucking spider webs, man. It's so crazy.
It's gross.
It's gross, but and some people were like, "Why'd you cut down the plant, man? I would have smoked that." I said, "What? I said, "What do you mean you would have smoked that? What are you talking about?" They're
What?
like, I was like, hold on. You would have smoked the
Oh,
spiders?" And they're like, "Yeah, what?"
oh, that's
I'm like, "Come
brutal.
on."
It's almost.
I'm like, "Come on, man." They're like, "We used to smoke way worse than that back in the day." I'm like, "Yes, but this is nowadays. You don't have to bring yourself down to that low, you know?"
Almost like the people that are like, "Oh, why'd you throw away that bud of bud rot? I would have
Yeah.
smoked that." You know, it's like,
Oh,
oh,
dude. Right? I threw away 6 ounces one time, and this guy, like, straight up yelled at me. Yelled at me. I was like, "No, I would have smoked that. What are you doing?" I said, "Bro, there was blood rot on it. Like, what are you talking about? You can't smoke that." Yes. I'm like, "No." I'm like trying to explain to him smoking mold is not good, dude. Like, you can't do it. I'm so glad I had my son here, though. My son just threw it away with just such just just heartless for the plant. Just
oh,
did not care about weed. So he's just boom, dumped it out and was like, "What?" I'm like, "Oh my god, you're such a savage for doing that." Like you, you did it with no hesitation. How do you even do that?
have you ever had jars mold up?
Like curing in them or
Yeah, like just the, mason jars a lot of people use, and then just all of a sudden seeing over a period of time there's this white like growth in there. Have you ever had that happen to you
no, I
before?
haven't. No, not
Man, I
yet.
have. It's heartbreaker. You know what I mean? You get those little, or I don't think I have any around here, but the little hygrometers,
Yeah.
and being able to see what the humidity is, and those small ones, the digital ones, are the accuracy is questionable, right?
Okay.
So everything looked good, right? It looked at 60%, but there's white growing in the jars, and I'm like, okay, it had to have been higher than 60. It seemed like it was higher than 60% as far as like when I opened up the jars and the moisture level and stuff. But I trusted that little hygrometer, and it failed me. So yeah, it's not cool taking a jar off the shelf and then seeing this white growth happening, and then when you open it, like that smell, it's like ammonia. You know what I mean? It smells like
Oh,
it's
like
just
cat piss.
not so much cat piss. I mean, I don't even know how to explain it. It's like it's just this off smell. It's a
Yeah.
very off, and like
Like you could
so.
tell instantly that there's something wrong.
Yeah, yeah, you could tell it's not normal. So definitely threw that all away and stuff. But yeah, man, it's not cool having jars mold up either.
Oh man, that's one thing that we do all this work, all this time, and all the nutrients, the time. The most important thing to me is the time wasted. It's like but it's a learning experience. You get to learn, so now you know. One thing about those hydrometers that I've noticed is, or that I was thinking about, is like it would give you a reading that's up here on the top of the jar, and I use real big jars. So I would imagine that down here on the bottom, the humidity would be a little bit higher because the buds are closed and it's
Mm,
all enclosed. And if you didn't shake it before, which you're not supposed to shake your jars because then you're throwing terps around. So, or I mean, trichomes around and shit. So you got this dilemma of how to get that going. I forgot where I was going with that.
yeah, some people complain about the shaking the jars, man. I used to do it all the time. It's like when you burp your jars, you undo it and then like shake the jar a little bit to break up the buds so they're not all kind of stuck together. And
Yeah,
I
yeah.
did that. I had that in a video, man. And so I remember reading a comment, people like, "What are you doing? You should not be shaking the buds around." What it's like, wait, what? That's like how everybody does it.
Yeah,
What
yeah.
do you do?
How do you expect to get the air in there? What? They're like, no. Well, some people, like my brother, he used to be real big on not touching the bud as at all. Like as much as less, just as less handling as possible is how he would like it, because he could tell that the trichomes are falling off with any time that you touch it, anytime you shake it. And it's true, because on the bottom of the jar you do see a lot of fucking trichomes stuck to it. And so they're right, but I mean you gotta do what you gotta do to get that air in there, man.
Yeah.
You just
Yep.
got to. So my other question is, how many leftover nutrients do you have? Because I know I have. Maybe if you, I don't know if you've seen my post, but I'm just loaded with leftover nutrients here.
I don't really have much left over. I don't really well, I guess I kind of do have. I have a bunch of like dry amendments and stuff that I haven't
Yeah.
used. That I should. Right, I've got some like kelp and alfalfa, and I've got
Well,
Build a Bloom by Build a Soil. I haven't used that yet, and so like yeah, I over purchased for sure on some of the things.
yeah,
But there's a lot of things that come and go so quickly, right? Like the base fertilizers of, whether it be a Kiss Organics nutrient pack, I run through that. Build a Soil Craft Blend, I run through that. Worm castings, I run through those. Those are common things. And then for my synthetic that I use, Blue Planet Nutrients, I'm able to work through those and not really have much. You know what I mean? And that's all
leftover.
I'm really using right now.
Nice, nice. Yeah, worm casting. I'm starting to go through it. Like I bought the big bag of Gaia Green for $100 or something. I paid for that, and I thought it would last for a long time, and no, it's not lasting for much. Now I got to put the last little bit into my soil container, and I'm gonna have to get another one. But that's what happens, huh? Let's
Yeah.
talk about the Blue Mat system. How's your Blue Mat system running?
Pretty good, man.
Very
I
good,
actually
man.
have plants that are early on in veg, so I don't have the system hooked up right now.
Okay.
But I'm getting ready to hook it up once I do a transplanting here tomorrow. Actually, I'm gonna be transplanting into. I think I'm going into 5 or 7 gallon containers, and then what I'll do is I'll hook up the Blue Mat system in there like the next day or whatever, and then man, I love those things, and I
Ah,
know
they're so cool.
I don't say I put you on them, but I know you've been hitting me up asking me about how to work
Let,
them and stuff.
let's be real. You put me on it. It's fine.
It's been working out pretty good, man. And I actually just interviewed one of the guys from Sustainable Village not too long ago. I think 2 weeks ago I released it, and they now have preset blue mats. so you don't even need to adjust the dial anymore. You
Really?
literally just, I think you just soak them like you normally do, and you stick them right in the medium, and it's already preset. So makes things easier, right? You don't have to mess with that dial. I know it was tricky for you. It was tricky for me to
Yeah.
begin to really get that dialed in,
Yeah.
exactly where it needs to be. So that makes things a lot easier. But yeah, man, I still love the blue mats. Still running them. They're great.
Beautiful system. I really like it. For those guys, for everybody out there who doesn't know, it's like a ran off of carrots, a carrot system. So they're clay, and when they soak up and they soak up water, and when they dry out, they start to feed the plant or water the plant by little drips. Um, and they're so cool, man. So easy, like stupidly easy to put together. You don't need a pump or anything. Just remember to fill your reservoirs, everybody. I forgot and let mine drain out and or dry out, and I think you did too, right? At one point.
It's happened, yeah.
It happens to us, to everybody. Just make sure to fill it up. What I was gonna do was put like a flow in my reservoir and like connect the water line to it, to where when it goes down, it fill it up every time. So I'm thinking about how to engineer that up.
I got some pretty good advice from the guy over at Blue Mat in regards to like reservoir and when to dial and stuff. So he says to fill the reservoir halfway, then adjust the dial, and that's the good point because like it's going off pressure, right? It's
That's
gravity
what I
force,
thought.
psi. So they say fill it halfway. That way, when it drops down, there's not going to be like, as much pressure pushing into the system, but it should be sufficient. If you fill up the reservoir, it'll be a little bit more pressure. But filling the reservoir halfway, then dialing things in is his recommended way to go about it. So that's something that I need to pay more attention to whenever I'm setting them up.
Yeah. Nice. Sick with it. All right, brother. Well, we are at the hour mark, and I wanted to thank you so much for coming on again, brother. It was so easy to talk to you, man.
Thanks for having me, man. Yeah, it's always fun to catch up, dude. So
Good, good. And one of these days, man, we're gonna have to meet up at Blaze. I mean, you're just
without a
right there.
doubt,
I'm just right here, and we're both on the west side, so it should be easy for us to hook up.
we'll figure
I'm
it
gonna,
out, man.
yeah, I'm gonna be going down to Cali here pretty soon, so maybe we can run into each other or something like that, huh?
For sure, man. Sounds
Right.
good.
Beautiful. Thank you very much, sir, for coming on. And everybody out there, make sure to tap in for the next episode of CannaConvos. As you already know, tap in, show Mr. Grower some love. You already know where he's at. You should know. Oh, is there anybody that you wanted to plug or anything you wanted to say? Any sponsors or anything?
Sponsor, shout out AC Infinity. I kind of already mentioned that. Shout out to the people in the community, man, that are just vibing with this content, right? So there's so many people that have been following for years and years, and are part of this community, and that's really what builds this community is you, the viewer, the person who is engaging, like we talked about earlier, commenting, liking, all that stuff, sharing.
Mhm.
That helps. That helps the community, and I think it helps with really normalizing the plant. And the more it's normalized, the greater chances we have at legalizing. So, shout out to you and the community.
Yes. Thank you so much, everybody, for being out there and supporting us and doing what you do, man. And let's keep it going. And we're just gonna keep growing good plants. So thank you very much once again, sir. And we will see you next time. All right. Have a good day. Thanks. If I